President Trump tries to fire a Federal Reserve governor in an unprecedented move. A massive dust storm slams Phoenix. And Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce announced their engagement. And in today's extra section, Southwest Airlines sparks outrage with a new seating policy. Vanity Fair staff revolt over a possible Melania Trump cover. And President Trump takes aim at Cracker Barrel's logo. And here's today's trivia question. What animal sleeps with one eye open? It's Wednesday, August 27th. This is the Flyover Podcast. Welcome to the Flyover Podcast, taking you above the noise for an unbiased, high-altitude view of today's headlines with daily coverage that's honest and refreshing. Let's cruise the news and land the facts. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Flyover Podcast. I'm your weekday host, Ayla Brown. Thank you to all of our new subscribers on YouTube and the ratings and reviews we've received on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We appreciate that, and we appreciate you. If you haven't done it yet, links are in the show notes. Let's take off with the biggest stories of the day. President Trump says he's fired Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook, citing mortgage fraud allegations from the Federal Housing Finance Agency. But Cook, who made history as the first Black woman to serve on the Fed's Board of Governors, says the president doesn't have the power to remove her and that she's staying put. Her lawyer, Abby Lowell, says they'll take the matter to court. The move is unprecedented. No president has ever tried to fire a Fed governor before, but markets reacted calmly, with stocks closing slightly higher on Tuesday. And we'll get to that later in the finance section. In Arizona, a massive dust storm known as a haboob swept into Phoenix Monday evening, plunging the city into darkness and snarling the evening commute. Winds topped 90 miles per hour in parts of the metro area, knocking down trees, cutting power, and delaying flights at Sky Harbor Airport. The storm also triggered flash flooding that forced closures along Interstate 17. Haboobs are fairly common during Arizona's monsoon season, but weather officials say this one was powerful and especially rare and disruptive. You can see the video and read all about it in the show notes below. And pop superstar Taylor Swift and Kansas City Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce are officially engaged. The couple announced the news in a joint Instagram post, writing, quote, "Your English teacher and your gym teacher are getting married." Swift flashed an emerald-cut diamond ring in what looked like a garden proposal. The two began dating in 2023 after Kelce attended her Eras tour and went public later that year at a Chiefs game. Their relationship has even had an economic ripple effect. Swift's NFL appearances have boosted viewership and reportedly added more than $300 million in value to the Chiefs franchise. And if you thought this was just pop culture news, think again, because President Trump also commented on the engagement saying, quote, "I think he's a great player. I think he's a great guy. And I think she's a terrific person. So I wish them a lot of luck." So do we here at the Flyover. Here are your top political headlines today. President Trump says the federal government will seek the death penalty for all murder cases in Washington, D.C. Speaking in a cabinet meeting, Trump called it, quote, "a very strong preventative step." D.C. abolished capital punishment back in 1981, but because murder cases here can fall under federal jurisdiction, the Justice Department could still pursue it in certain circumstances, though it remains rare. Senior Trump aide Dan Scavino is now in charge of the White House Personnel Office, meaning he'll oversee staffing across the administration. Scavino, Trump's longest-serving advisor, has been a fixture in the West Wing, and now he'll shape who gets key roles behind the scenes. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy is warning California, Washington, and New Mexico that they could lose federal funding unless they enforce English proficiency rules for commercial drivers within 30 days. The department is prepared to withhold up to 100% of its safety-related funding unless the states comply. And a man was arrested for setting an American flag on fire in a federal park near the White House, just hours after President Trump signed an executive order seeking penalties for flag burning. The arrest underscores how quickly that punishment could be enforced if the policy moves forward. A huge thanks to our sponsor, Teddy's Turmeric Tamer. Is your four-legged friend slowing down? Maybe they have stiff joints, arthritis, or just not the same tail-wagging energy. Teddy's Turmeric Tamer believes that every dog deserves to feel their best, and naturally. Their all-natural blend of turmeric, ginger, mushrooms, and omega-3s supports joint health, reduces inflammation, and boosts overall wellness. Inspired by their dog Teddy's cancer journey, where he beat the odds and enjoyed 3 more joyful years after being given just weeks to live, Teddy's Turmeric Tamer has helped countless dogs move easier, feel better, and live more active lives. Your pup deserves to feel their best. Give your pup the gift of health and more wag-worthy days. Visit Teddy'sTurmericTamer.com and use the code FLYOVER for 10% off. Once again, that's Teddy'sTurmericTamer.com. And don't forget, use the code FLYOVER for 10% off. All the info's in the show notes below. Here are some bonus stories just for listeners of the Flyover podcast that you are not going to find in the email edition. That's why we call it Podcast Extra. Southwest Airlines is facing backlash over a new policy for plus-size passengers. Under the change, anyone who can't fit in the standard seat armrests will be required to buy an extra seat in advance. Refunds for that second ticket will only be issued if the flight isn't full, both seats are booked in the same fare class, and the refund is requested within 90 days. If passengers don't purchase the extra seat ahead of time, they'll have to buy one at the airport. And if the flight is sold out, they'll be rebooked. Critics say it makes travel less comfortable for everyone and chips away at what was left of Southwest's customer-friendly image, especially since the airline also ended free checked bags earlier this year. Vanity Fair's newsroom is in turmoil over reports that new editorial director Mark Guiducci is considering putting First Lady Melania Trump on the magazine's cover. Some staffers have threatened to quit if the issue moves forward, though others think the outrage is a bit more bark than bite. Melania was never featured on Condé Nast titles like Vogue or Vanity Fair during her husband's first term, unlike Michelle Obama, who graced Vogue 3 times, but she said she's not interested, pointing out that she's already been on plenty of covers. And Cracker Barrel has announced it is abandoning the new logo it unveiled just last week after fierce customer backlash and a sharp stock drop. The company said it listened to its guests and will keep its longtime old-timer logo. The short-lived rebrand was meant to refresh the chain's image, but instead it sparked a wave of criticism from loyal customers who felt it betrayed the brand's identity. President Trump also weighed in, urging the company to return to its original logo and calling the controversy a change for $1 billion worth of free publicity. Hey, maybe it worked. Well, there's lots more stories still to come. A teenage track star signs with Nike. Scientists help paralyzed rats walk again. And Japan considers a 2-hour daily screen time limit. It's all after finance and a stock market update. In finance, Frontier Airlines is launching 20 new winter routes, targeting markets dominated by struggling Spirit Airlines, including service from Fort Lauderdale to major cities like Detroit, Dallas, and Chicago. With Spirit struggling financially and recently ending free checked bags, Frontier is betting the time is right to capture more budget travelers while rolling out loyalty incentives to stay profitable. Critical Metals has signed a 10-year agreement to supply Ucore Rare Metals, U.S. government-funded processing facility in Louisiana. They'll deliver up to 10,000 metric tons of heavy rare earth concentrate annually from their Greenland Tanbreeze project, about 10% of its total production, supporting the U.S. push to reduce reliance on China for critical minerals used in everything from magnets to electronics. Elon Musk's xAI, has filed a lawsuit accusing Apple and OpenAI of anti-competitive collusion. Filed in Texas, the complaint claims Apple's integration of ChatGPT into iPhones unfairly sidelines competitors like Grok by favoring ChatGPT in App Store rankings, effectively locking other AI services out. xAI is seeking over $1 billion in damages. Here's how the stock market did yesterday. Markets closed higher across the board. The Nasdaq rose 0.44%, the S&P 500 gained 0.41%, and the Dow climbed 0.30%. Bitcoin was up just over 1% at $111,000, while gold surged nearly 2% to $3,440 an ounce. The day's standout mover was EchoStar, which skyrocketed more than 70% after AT&T struck a $23 billion all-cash deal to buy the company's wireless spectrum licenses. In sports, the NCAA is teaming up with Venmo to protect college athletes from online abuse. Some players have been getting harassed or unwanted payment requests from angry bettors after games. The partnership aims to stop that kind of direct contact and create a safer space for student athletes. 16-year-old track star Cooper Lukenhaus is going pro. In the wake of a record-breaking run at the Tokyo World Championships less than 4 weeks ago, he's opted out of his high school eligibility and signed with Nike, fast-tracking himself into the professional ranks. Barstool founder Dave Portnoy is banned from Ohio State Stadium. Portnoy, a proud Michigan alum, was scheduled to appear on Fox's Big Noon Kickoff, but OSU barred him from entering Ohio Stadium due to his vocal support for Michigan and the heated rivalry between the two universities. He'll still appear on TV, but from outside the stadium, because Fox never planned to have him go inside. That sounds like a smart idea. And lastly, Venus Williams, age 45, made history yet again. She became the oldest singles player at the U.S. Open since 1981 and steered a comeback emotionally and physically significant following a 16-month hiatus. Though she lost in the first round, her return was more about coming back and dealing with adversity and having all of us cheer her on along the way. Here's what's happening in science and tech. First Lady Melania Trump unveiled the Presidential AI Challenge, inviting students from kindergarten through 12th grade to design AI-powered projects that tackle real-world community issues, from school safety to healthier meals and personalized learning. Winners will compete in regional rounds before arriving at the White House for a national showcase with a top prize of $10,000 and other awards at stake. If you want to learn more about that, all that info is in the show notes below. I'm sure you know someone really smart that should apply for that. Next, researchers at the University of Minnesota combined 3D printing and stem cells to help rats with severed spinal cords walk again. Wow. They used tiny 3D printed scaffolds to guide stem cells into forming new nerve cells, successfully restoring movement in the animal models, offering a hopeful glimpse into future treatments for spinal cord injuries. And major outlets like Wired and Business Insider were tricked by a fake AI-generated freelancer named Margot Blanchard, who submitted fabricated stories complete with made-up quotes and sources. Editors only realized the truth after readers raised red flags, prompting a retraction spree and a fresh focus on tightening fact-checking and author verification. How about some shorter headlines that you want to know about today? In the world of high-end luxury real estate, more home buyers are asking for overnight trial stays before committing to multi-million-dollar purchases. I've never heard of this. Some realtors say it's a smart way to test drive a property, while others warn it raises liability and insurance risks. Yeah, I would say so too. Would you ever want to do this? Stay at someone's house just to check it out before buying it? Leave a comment in the comment section. And in Japan, one city is considering an ordinance that would limit residents to just 2 hours of recreational screen time each day. The proposal also urges kids to shut down devices by 9 p.m., sparking debate about whether government should regulate personal tech use. So while we're on that subject, keep it up in the comments section and let me know what you think. Should government regulate personal tech use? Can't wait to read your answers. Next, Bath & Body Works is teaming up with Disney for a limited time Villains collection rolling out September 3rd. The line features candles, body care, and accessories inspired by characters like Maleficent and the Evil Queen. And no, it's not me. And communication experts are offering a tip for handling disrespectful comments. Don't respond right away, okay? Instead, pause, stay silent, and then use a simple 7-word phrase to shift the tone. Do you want to know what that phrase is? I'm not going to let that upset me. You want to read more about it? All the answers are in the show notes below to make your life a little better. All right, here's yesterday's poll question and the results for you. What kind of wedding did you have? 49% said small and intimate. 29% said big and traditional. 6% was elopement. 9% of you haven't had one. And 7% said other. Thank you so much to everyone who voted and left comments in the comment section. Here's the poll question for today. If you had to cut your screen time, which would you give up first? I know it's a hard question, but would it be social media, streaming TV or movies, online shopping, research, gaming, or other? And if it's something else, please let us know. For me, if I wanted to try and break my addiction with my phone, I would have to give up probably all of it, but if I had to be really specific, I would say social media. I'm on it way too much. I have tried deleting, but I just keep going back to it, and I don't know why. Okay, so that is a problem for me. I can't wait to read your answers. All you have to do is vote in the show notes below, and the answers will be read in tomorrow's show. Here's the trivia question. What animal sleeps with one eye open? The answer? Dolphins. Since they have to stay awake enough to breathe, they can't go fully unconscious or they drown. So they let half their brain sleep at a time, keeping one eye open while the other side of the brain rests. It's called unihemispheric sleep. Kind of like being a dad to a teenager. You're never really all the way asleep. You're just half resting with one eye open, waiting to hear if that car pulls back in the driveway. Sorry, that was a dad joke. But that is it for the Flyover podcast. Have a great day, everyone. I will be back tomorrow with more headlines. Until then, keep both eyes open, and thanks for flying with us.